Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're gonna go ahead and install a very vital part that any VR30 needs, whether it's your Q60, the new Nissan Z, and or your Q50 as well, needs this specific mod, which is going to be a heat exchanger. So I got this because Z1 was having a sale and I saved like 50 bucks on it. And this thing honestly looks so good. Look at all the little details, the little welds, everything just looks so nice. Now, granted, you won't be able to see this because obviously the bumper is going to be in the way unless you run a bumperless. And the reason that you actually want a heat exchanger is because the VR30 is very prone to heat soak. The stock heat exchanger is like literally like less than half the size of this. And this increases the amount of coolant and the surface space to give it that nice cool airflow in order to cool down the coolant before it goes back into the intercoolers. So this is a very, very vital part. When I had my other Q50 and it was summer, like screeching hot outside, like over 110, even reaching up to like 115 or higher, the car would feel very, very sluggish when it was hot outside. Like I would push it, there was no go, it just did not want to move. But as soon as I installed one of these bad boys right here, which I had the INFINITI one from AMS, and it ran amazing. Like I never had that issue anymore, and it just ran so good. If you look at the stats on this heat exchanger, you're gonna see that I can't remember if it's like 380 or 400% increase in coolant, and the surface flow is insane. So highly suggest something like this for your Q50. I promise you will not regret it. The hotter the engine gets, the components around it get as well, and eventually, it damages your parts with excessive heat. The good thing is that it has this bleeder port right here, which you need in order to be able to bleed the coolant system properly. What happens with like a regular heat exchanger, because they don't have the bleeder port, there's trapped air on the top of the heat exchangers, which is not good. It'll airlock your system, which you don't want to do. And then at that point, it's just gonna get really hot because there's air in that system and it's not gonna flow properly. So luckily they made this design in order to make it easier to bleed the system, but I do have a funnel that is meant for the coolant system that I can use in order to be able to get this done and bled properly. So let's throw this on the queue and jump right into the video. Before we go ahead and begin installing this thing, let's go ahead and check out all the parts that came with it. It came with instructions that you can use a QR code to be able to install this. And then you have these grommets right here that go on the side right there. Just like that. And then these, once you install this on the car, then you're gonna go ahead and attach these on there as well, which are gonna slide in just like that. Then the other side just has some holes to be able to mount the bolts through. And then here it has the two 10mm bolts that you're gonna go ahead and use. Then this last package is going to be the bleeder port. I'm assuming this one is on there just so it can seal it so nothing gets in there. But this one is the one you want to go ahead and use with an Allen key to seal everything up. And you also kind of want to add some Vaseline on the O-ring so it doesn't damage it when you go ahead and install it. We also got two stickers right here, which I might use. I'm not sure yet. I might just put it somewhere else. But yeah, that's everything that comes in the package. Let's go ahead and begin removing the bumper and start putting this on the car. All right, guys, so we finally got the bumper completely off. You don't want to just yank on the bumper once you remove all the bolts and everything. You actually have two connections on each side. So there's this one right here for the fog light. There's another one right here. You gotta remove. On the other side, which is the passenger, you have this one right there. You got another one right here. You gotta remove both of those in order to get it off. Once you do that, then you are good to go ahead and remove the bumper. There was just one 10 mil right here in the back. They gotta remove. Then there's a bracket right here holding the plate in place, which looks like this. You actually don't have to remove the 10 mils at the top, but you do have to remove the bracket that goes right here. That is this, held in by one 10 mil. Once you disconnect that, then it will get loose from right here. And once you remove all the little 10 mils at the bottom, it will come right out. So as you can see, the front is now exposed and the heat exchanger is right there. Gotta go ahead and take that thing off. But before we do that, we gotta remove the foam right here, take off the bash bar, and then you gotta remove that right there. So let's go ahead and start taking those things apart. Alright guys, so we finally got the heat exchanger removed, and it was pretty simple. It wasn't very difficult, to be honest with you, as long as you do your research before you actually do this, and it'll make it 10 times faster. But I had to remove the bash bar. As you guys saw, those were actually 12 mils, and then to remove that thing, those right there were 13 mils, which removes that whole piece. I had this section right here, which I went ahead and removed that piece, which was two 10 mils on the sides. And in the middle, there's two 10 mils holding in the side of the heat exchanger right there. Once you remove that, you gotta remove the hoses, as you saw. And there's one 10 mil holding it in right there on this side. And there was like a little plastic piece that I just took off to give me a little bit more space to remove the clamp that's held on right there. I took that one out first because that part is lower, so the coolant's gonna naturally go down that way, which is how I captured most of this coolant right here. As you can see, it's not even that much, it's only a little bit. And I didn't lose that much coolant until just now. So make sure you have this hose up in that position right there so it doesn't leak. Go ahead and loosen this bracket right here. I didn't completely remove it. I just removed the two 10 mils right there, the one right here so I can move forward. And then I removed, I believe, two 12 mils on the side right there to allow us to get out of that space right there. And then this grommet goes right there. Then I was able to lift the radiator in the back up out of those holes right there so I can get more space to be able to remove the stock heat exchanger. So let's go ahead and compare the stock one to this one. Look at that. It's like half the size. I'm actually gonna go ahead and power wash the radiator. As you can see, it's pretty dirty. It doesn't look like it's been cleaned in a while. So I'm gonna grab my power washer to go ahead, clean that area up, remove all the debris. Once we do that, we'll go ahead and slap on the new heat exchanger. Alright guys, so we got everything installed now. As you can see, it looks so good in there. It was like an OEM plus fit. All the bolts and everything lined up perfectly with no issues. So did the bracket over there. Then this hose has a clamp on it, or a little like a attachment that goes right there to that bottom hole right here, and it fit in with no issues. The clip right in. Everything just fits so nicely, to be honest. And then the hoses were a tight fit, which is good because it's not gonna leak. Now what we're gonna go ahead and do is fill in the coolant system, and it's just this side right here because this one is for the radiator, this is for the heat exchanger. So we're gonna go ahead and fill this up. We're gonna remove that, and then we're gonna replace it with this one right here. So as soon as we see coolant coming out of there, we're gonna go ahead and seal it, leave it a little bit open to see if you can see any bubbles coming out. Once it's completely cleared out, there's no bubbles, we'll go ahead and seal that one up and then allow it to fill up and run. So it shouldn't be very difficult. Luckily I didn't lose like a lot of coolant. That's pretty much all I lost right there, which is almost nothing. And then just a little bit spilled right there, but it wasn't a huge coolant loss. I do have OEM Nissan coolant, which is this right here. Got it at Concept Z, local to AZ. Luckily they had it in the stock. I believe the dealership charges you like 25, if not maybe like maybe over $30 for each jug. Got it for 20 bucks at Concept Z. So alright guys, so after turning the car on for I would say over 30 minutes and letting it run, I noticed that the coolant was going down a bit, so that was kind of telling me that there was still air in the system. So what I ended up doing is I let the car run for a while, and then I went ahead and opened that bleeder just a bit to allow coolant to get out of there, and I saw air bubbles coming out again. So I did that a few times with the car running, getting to operating temperature, and I would loosen it, a little bit of bubbles would come out. I closed it, and then I let it sit for a bit, washed the coolant reservoir, make sure it didn't go like too far down. Then I opened it again, saw like one bubble, then I closed it, and I did it one more time, didn't see any more bubbles. So you essentially want to do that a few times until you can get no more bubbles. Keep an eye on the reservoir, make sure it does not go down under minimum. Leave it at max, and then I would monitor it for a few days. I know before I didn't have any coolant leaks, so I shouldn't have any coolant leaks now. If I see the coolant is going down, that means I most likely have a leak somewhere or something's going on with the heat exchanger. But so far, no leaks. It's been sitting for a bit. As you can see, everything is dry. There's no accumulation of coolant anywhere. As you can see, it's been pretty dry. There's a little bit of a puddle right here, but that's just because there's like an indentation right there, so it's just sitting in there. But I've been looking around at the area, haven't really seen any coolant, and I just want to look out for that. As you can see, this side's like completely dry. This side I was messing with it, and obviously the coolant got down there, but it's looking pretty good so far. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. As you guys saw, it was a pretty simple process. It does take some time. I will say it took me maybe close to like 2 hours to be able to install this. Of course I was recording, so it might have taken me like a little bit longer, but for the most part I think it's going to run you about like an hour and a half to 2 hours to be able to get this done. So I highly suggest the funnel in order to be able to bleed the system. This way you can add coolant to the top and it doesn't go all the way to the bottom, and then you can seal that thing up. But I didn't go over why I removed the headlight. When I was trying to install the heat exchanger was like too large, so it would hit the top of the headlight, and I didn't want to bend it or damage it. So instead I removed the headlight, which was 4 bolts. I think it was like 2 in the bottom, 1 on the right side, on the left side, and then 1 on the top. And then I was able to take it out by removing the plug, and that was pretty much it. It was really simple, but I highly suggest doing that way you don't damage it. I do also suggest that you remove that bracket that I removed that has the 2 bolts on the top that the heat exchanger attaches to on the passenger side, because if you don't, you'll end up scratching your heat exchanger. I know this from experience when I was helping a friend in the past. We didn't remove that part and ended up scratching the back of his heat exchanger, and it damaged it. So make sure you do everything that I did to remove all those parts, because it's very crucial that you don't damage the heat exchanger in the process of installing it. So just be aware of that. I only used 1 jug of coolant. I still have coolant left in that jug. I got 2 of them because I thought I would possibly need more when I was bleeding it, but 1 should be sufficient enough as long as you don't lose a lot of coolant. If you lose too much coolant, then I highly suggest getting 2 of them. So just keep the hoses up so it doesn't, drip down. I noticed that every time the hose would like fall out or fall down, coolant would just spew out. So just keep that in mind. But I did go ahead and start painting the grill and also doing a few things to the front bumper to make it look a little bit better. So I will be posting that as well coming up soon. But thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully this helps you guys out. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.